All right, here we go. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Yes, awesome. Okay, so sorry about the delay, everyone. I had a couple of just little errors there. I went in early to, just kind of test the environment, and I closed it out, and unfortunately that didn't let me get back into the Hangout. Um, this is the kind of stuff that happens live, right, folks? Anyway, we got everything squared away. Everything is set, so hopefully everyone's on the right site. We created just a new one to be able to get to this particular event. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I'm going to start off really by just sharing my screen and then navigating you over to our resources and all of the tools that I'm going to be sharing. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully everyone can see that. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up this little guy right here. All right, so hopefully everyone's good there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this up and quickly do my intro. All right, my name is Monica Martinez. I'm the Director of Professional Development for EdTech Team, and I cover US and Latin America. I'm also an authorized Google Education trainer and a Google Certified Administrator and a Google Certified Teacher. My contact information is located here on your screen. Feel free to reach out to me and contact me in case you have any questions over this or anything else. Like I said, you have my social media information. There's my Twitter account and Google+. So once you get on this site, you'll be able to click on those links and be able to navigate directly to those particular social networks. The site that we're going to be using for the resources for this particular session is this URL that you see here on the screen. I will pull this back up at the end. You don't need to have it open now to be able to benefit from the resources I'll be sharing. But I did want to give you the resources so that you could navigate there. Again, I will pull this back up at the end in case some of you don't get that link right now. I do want to note also that this is case sensitive, and so for example you see that last capital letter there, capital G. Make sure you type it in that way, otherwise you do end up somewhere else, and that will take you to a site that won't have the resources, so make sure you jot it down as you see it on the screen. That is goo.gl/UWM56, and that's a capital G at the end there. Once you land on this page, you'll see over on the left-hand side I've got some links that you can navigate to. You're looking for the one that's titled Security, as that's the one that's going to be dedicated to the resources for this particular session. Those are listed alphabetically, so just make your way down to the S's and look for Security, and simply click on that link, and that's going to take you to the Security page. You'll know you're on the right page because at the very top center you'll see this little graphic that says 10 Google App Security Tips. Okay, so once again, if you don't make your way there during this session, don't worry, because I'm going to be showcasing everything off of my screen, and you'll be able to later go back to be able to check that out. So I wanted to share with you just a really quick background and story of why I'm doing this session, because everyone has a lot of different things that they do online with their device and then their access to their accounts and so forth. And this was me, or at least this was my expression at one point when I had left a district and had finished, I'd wrapped up a workshop, and I'd been using the computer that they had available for me there, and so I wasn't able to use my computer. So I'd logged into another computer, and I'd left, and I was about an hour or so away from the actual location where I'd done the workshop when suddenly in my mind, for some reason, it just like something clicked, and it was like, did I log out of my account? And I started to freak out a little, and it was already after hours, and I was already an hour south of the location where I had been, so turning around was not really the best option, although I almost did, just because I was like, oh my god, I have to go log out. But I did call the person that I'd been coordinating with for this workshop, and they squared me away as far as, no, you weren't logged in or what have you. And this got me to thinking just about, how secure is our information, especially if you're like me and, tend to actually stay logged into stuff. And I discovered, though, this was a long, long time ago, and not too long ago, I did discover a setting, or I guess a tip that you can do in your Gmail to be able to remotely log out. And I'm actually going to show you that here in just a few seconds. But it really got me to thinking around security and our data and how we can better protect our information. And so that's really the basis behind what we're going to focus on in this particular session. We're going to look at how you can protect your account, your information. We're also going to look at if you're browsing, how can we protect the information as far as our browsing history, the things that we're seeing, etc. And lastly, we're also going to be looking at your digital footprint. When you're online, how can you better protect yourself when you're posting things and being aware of those things. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking at, and that's the 3 areas of focus in this particular session. So like I said, the very first thing I want to show you is being able to remotely log out, because that was one of the biggest things and one of the biggest issues I encountered, and I have a feeling that a lot of you have too. In fact, anytime I cover anything in relation to Google Apps, I always share this first tip with you. And if you're on this site, you're going to be looking for number 10 on the list, and it'll give you the step-by-step instructions for being able to remotely log out. So what you need to do is go to your Gmail account for the account that you want to log out of. Okay, so that's the account you're looking for. So you go to Gmail, and then you scroll all the way down to the very bottom, and you'll see a link that says Details down there at the bottom. Okay, so in your Gmail account, scroll down to the bottom right, and you see Details. You click on that link. It pops open another window, and in this window, you'll be able to see all the sessions that you currently have open. And it will let you know up at the top if the account has been open in a very specific location, like a different location than where you're normally at. And you can see here right now mine says it's not open in any other location. However, there may be sessions that have not been signed out. And so if I was, if I had left, my session and, I was in that panic mode, I could have pulled over, because I won't do this while driving, right? So you pull over and you could log into your account, and then simply go to this screen here and click on Sign Out All Other Web Sessions, and that's going to sign you out of all of your other accounts. I do want to let you know that if you are on a mobile device, like an iPad or an iPhone or a tablet, Nexus, etc., you do have to go to the web version and the desktop version of your Gmail in order for you to be able to see the details down at the very bottom. So make sure that you do that, otherwise you won't be able to see that little details button down at the very bottom. Okay? So that's one of the biggest tips that I like to share with folks, because it never fails. We'll either log into somebody else's device, we forget to log out. Sometimes you're in maybe a workshop somewhere and they have you using, you're in a computer lab and they have you using other computers, and you've logged in and maybe you forgot if you did or didn't log out. Now you can log out remotely, and now you know how. So hopefully that's a useful tip to you guys. But let's dive in a little bit deeper. I want to showcase a couple of additional things that you can do to better secure your account. And this is in relation to apps, extensions, and third-party services. So that's going to be under number 1, where it says account settings off of our site. So it never fails that when we go to workshops and when we collaborate with other folks, we'll learn about lots of really great extensions and third-party apps, and you've probably been adding all kinds of stuff, which is great because there's so many really great, cool extra tools that work really well in the Google Apps environment. The thing is, sometimes we'll just add like crazy, looking at things that we're thinking, oh, that looks cool, and then it turns out we don't use some of these things. And so I want to show you a couple of tips that I recommend in order to be able to protect your Google account. And one of the things you're going to find under number 8, so if you scroll down to the bottom, towards the bottom of the page, you'll see where you can remove Chrome extensions and then also Chrome apps. And these are very common as far as things that we add to our site. So you can see, like, I've got all my Chrome extensions up here at the top. So one of the things you can do is simply right-click over any one of those extensions that you want to remove and say Remove from Chrome. And I want to show you that you can also go, in case you don't want to do it that way, you just want to see like a full listing, you can actually go to Chrome://extensions, and it'll take you to the page that has all of your extensions. You can, of course, go to your menu up at the top right and be able to get into your extensions that way as well. From here, all you have to do is click the trash can icon, and then that will trash that particular extension. Similarly, with apps, you simply go to Chrome://apps, and that's going to take you to a listing of all the third-party applications and all the native apps from the Google Apps Suite. So you'd be able to see a whole bunch of apps here. And all you have to do is simply right-click, just like we did before, but this time you just, from the drop-down menu, select Remove from Chrome. So this is how you remove the apps and extensions directly from your account from here. But this next step is the one that a lot of folks don't actually go through. They think they're done. I've removed it. It's no longer getting access to my account. That may be the case for some of the applications. They're third-party that don't require access to your Google account. But there are a lot of apps and extensions that do actually require additional access to your Google information, and it could be even Google services like your Gmail and your calendar in order for them to function. So what you need to do is, in addition to removing them from your extension list and your app list, under number 1, you'll see where it says myaccount.google.com. Okay, and so you're going to want to click on that. And if you're not already logged into your account, you're going to want to log in. So I've already opened that up. So when you click on that link and you're logged into your account, it'll take you to this page here. And you're going to scroll down about maybe halfway down until you see this section that says Connected Apps and Services. It'll look just like this. You're going to want to click right over where it says Account Permissions. So that's what I'm going to do here. And it's going to ask you to log in again, because if you've been logged into your account, let's say like just your Gmail or your calendar, and then you jump into that link to get to your account services, then it'll ask you to log in again to verify that it's you. Because if you're like me and you've left your computer on and you've been in Gmail, for example, or a calendar or Drive, and you've just left that open, and then you go into your settings where you need to log in again, that's just kind of a second verification, which is really great. All right, so let me show you here. So for example, here's Boomerang Calendar. Now, I've removed Boomerang Calendar from my extension section, but notice that it's still available here. And when I click on Boomerang Calendar, it'll show me here on the right-hand side that Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Contacts still is giving access to Boomerang Calendar. And so these services are still connected to this third-party app, even though I removed it from my extensions list. In addition, they're still able to view my email address and know who I am on Google. So if you're removing something from your extensions or your apps list, make sure that you come in here to your connected apps and services. And if you're no longer going to use that particular service or have no idea what it is and have never used it, make sure you come in here and click on Revoke Access, because at this point, even though we've removed that extension or that app, it still has access to your Google account. So make sure you do that. That would be your second step to removing it from your extensions list and your apps list. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close those windows out and then jump into one additional feature that I want to show you in relation to securing your account, and that's two-step verification. So for those of you who have an account that's managed by your domain, just know that you may or may not have this option available to you, because that is a setting that your administrators that manage the domain can actually either allow or not allow. So just look out for that in case you can't get to it. It could be because you're under your school account and that's not allowed. Those of you on your personal account, this is completely up to you whether or not you want to set this up, and you have control whether or not it's available to you. By simply going to that same link that we went to earlier, myaccount.google.com, it'll take you right back to the page where we were earlier. And if you scroll down about, not even halfway down, it's up at the top fold of this section, you'll get to a section that's called Signing In. This is where you can actually change your password and set up your recovery email, etc. You'll also find this section titled Two-Step Verification. And this is where you can go in to be able to set this up. And you can see here, once again, it's asking me to sign in. That second step of security there to be able to change any settings for your account. So it takes me here where you can pretty much just go through the steps. Mine is already set up, which is why you see my phone here already set to send me text messages to give me the security code. And when you do this, basically what this is doing, it's protecting your account in that if someone were to get access to your username and password and they were to go to their computer and try to log into your account, well, it's going to prompt them to put in an extra security code. And if they don't have that, then they can't get into your account. So this is just like a second verification, hence why it's called two-step verification. And this is really great to set up because this way you protect your account even further. So if you're on your device and you've already verified your device, then you're set. You'll never have to enter that second verification code. But if ever you go onto a different computer, it's going to ask you to verify that device. So you're authenticating that device to have access to your account. Really great step to be able to make sure that your account is safe and secure. Now, I do want to warn you that if you do set this up and you have a tablet device, for example, if you're using iOS, like an iPhone or an iPad, or if you've got Thunderbird or Outlook, it may require what's called an app password. And so I've included a link here so that you can go ahead and set that up. It's just an additional password that you'd have to set up. It's also located within your myaccount.google.com to be able to get to that. And so if you simply go there, you'd be able to get to the My Apps account setup, which is right below two-step verification. You come in here and simply set up a password for whatever device it is that you need to, or whatever application, and it will give you a code that you will add. And this is, you would put this in your password section instead of your regular password. So you're probably trying to log in to your iPad or your iPhone and it's not letting you with your password. Use this password that it's giving you here. It's a special password to give you access to that particular application on that device. So that's just kind of like an extra note there in case you do turn on two-step verification. All right, so I'm looking at the time. I know we started late, but it is already 10, and I'm not quite sure if I can flow over or not. I know we're on a schedule. Those of you still with me, I'm going to go ahead and keep going so that the recording can capture some of the other features, but I will wrap up here shortly. I'm going to actually scroll down to the bottom section here that talks about number 5. It talks about your browser. The second thing I told you we would cover is in relation to your browsing history and protecting what you're looking at and where you're going, and being able to better protect yourself with that. So the first thing I wanted to share with you is all about being able to update your browser and making sure that that's updated, because you want to make sure that you have the most current version so that any older version that may or may not have some security holes that need patching have hopefully been patched with the latest version of your browser. So if you haven't closed out your browser, you'll likely see these little settings up at the top right turn different colors. So if it starts to turn green, that means it's been a day since it hasn't been updated. If it goes to orange and eventually red, that means it's been a while since you haven't updated. And so you'll want to quit out of your Chrome browser and then simply relaunch it, and it'll actually keep itself up to date. But if you're like me and you leave your account open and you just simply close your laptop and then open it back up and you remain on, then your settings up at the top right-hand side of your screen, right up here at the top, that will start to change colors, and that's how you'll know, okay, I need to update my browser. And again, all you have to do is simply quit and restart Chrome, and you'll get that going. So that's really important. And if you're wondering what version of Chrome you're using, I've provided a link here for you called whatbrowser.org. And if you go to that particular link, just by simply going to it, it's checking your browser, and it'll let you know right off the bat what browser version of Chrome you're using. And so that's also a good indication to let you know, okay, that's the browser that I'm currently, or the browser version that I'm currently on. The other things that you can do in relation to protecting your information is to go into incognito mode. To go into incognito mode, you simply go to your settings up at the top right, and you're going to select New Incognito Window from the drop-down menu. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it's going to pull open a new window. And I know that I'm in incognito mode because up at the top, and this will appear either at the top right or the top left, depending on the device you're on. And you'll see this little icon here. It's just kind of like the little guy. It looks like he's in stealth mode. And that's what you'll be able to see, and that lets you know currently I'm browsing in incognito mode. And what that means is that during that session, as you're browsing, as usual, there's a history being collected. There's also your cookies that are being dropped in. So websites you go visit are dropping cookies in. But as soon as you close out this window, let's say I'm done browsing, I'm done doing what I need to do, up at the top left or top right, depending on the device you're on, you'll see the little X, and as soon as you close out this window, all that browsing history and all those cookies are completely deleted. So when you go back to those sites that you were on, it'll think that you're a brand new user, that you've never been there before, because this version, and being in incognito mode, erases all of that information. This is just a really great way to have your device, just go ahead and erase everything instead of you having to go into your settings and do that yourself. In addition, if you're borrowing somebody else's computer and you need to just jump in and check something on your account, then going into incognito mode will also help protect your information, because people won't be able to go back into their browsing history to see where you've been, and they won't be able to get into pages that you've been to that where you might have saved, for example, some of your passwords and so forth. So this is a really great way to protect yourself, protect your browsing, and be able to clear out all of the history as well as the cookies. Now, I do want to share with you, just as caution, this is not something that you would use in that, let's say you're at work and you're going, you know that you shouldn't be on certain sites. They've prohibited that at your work. I wouldn't browse onto those sites, because while you're browsing, that information can be collected at that time. When you close it, it erases the history on that computer. But if they're collecting information as far as where the users are going, then they've already collected that, whether or not you close out this window. So word of caution, don't go where you wouldn't go even if you didn't have incognito mode. And then the last thing, of course, for security purpose when browsing is to simply make sure that, especially when you're being asked for information like logging in and so forth, make sure that you look up at the top left and that you see the HTTPS. You want that S to be present, because if it's not, it's an indication that that particular page doesn't have additional security. That S, it gives you extra, it's a secure socket layer, giving you just extra encryption, so that when you are on that site, anything you're adding into a form or putting in a password, filling out like bank information, it's encrypted, and it's extra encryption so that your stuff is even safer. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to cover in this session is all about your online reputation. And so you can go back up to number 3. You'll find some links on here that relate to how you can better protect your reputation while online. And the first thing I would recommend to you is to create your Google profile. You know, sometimes we create accounts and we don't necessarily go in and add our picture and our information. I highly recommend you do, and by simply clicking on this link, it'll take you to your Google Plus profile page where you can actually do that and get that all set up. And this is important because you're creating an online presence, and you want this to be the real you. There might be a different version of you out there on the web. So the other thing that's really important is for you to actually Google yourself. So by simply going and opening up a new tab and going to google.com, you can simply Google yourself, or in the Omni box, you can actually just type in your name like I'm doing here. And I've just Googled myself. And obviously there are probably a lot of different Monicas, but you're looking for you. What is my current online presence? What information is out there about me? So you want to Google yourself, and you can start to see here some of my information that I've found just by simply Googling myself. So if you've created an online profile, you're now creating the true version of you. If you do actually stumble and come across some information that's in relation to you, that would let you know. Then you can contact these people and say, hey, this is incorrect, or can you please take this down? You can also contact Google if it's information that's definitely harmful and damaging to you. You can actually go to this link right here where it says removing personal information from Google, and they can help you do that. The other thing I would highly recommend you do is set up a Google alert by simply going to google.com/alerts. You can set up an alert so that if your name is mentioned online anywhere, it will send you an alert letting you know, hey, your name has just been posted. So for example, if somebody tweets something out about you, if somebody creates a blog and then links to your Google account to this particular you that you are online, to this profile, if somebody were to create a video and then tags you on it, anything like that where your name is being associated, your account is being associated with that particular post, then you'll receive an alert, and this will let you know, hey, someone just posted something about you. And this comes into your inbox, and so you go to your email, you'll see that where that posting was made. It has a link. It'll take you there so you can review it, take a look, and make sure that it isn't something that's incorrect or harmful to you, your reputation, and your profile. So those were a couple of tips to be able to manage your online reputation a little bit better. The last thing I want to show you before we wrap up here is down towards the very bottom of the page. You go to this section titled Additional Resources. I wanted to point out Google's Digital Literacy and Citizenship Curriculum. If you go to the link that's provided there under Site, it'll take you to the page that's got a 3-part course that you can take. You can choose to take it yourself. You can also get your students to take this. You can also choose to break this up into pieces. It does come with your videos. It comes with the presentation materials and some handouts that you can use. And you can see on here that what it'll cover is being able to learn how to identify scams that are online, as well as managing your digital footprint. We just talked a little bit about that. And also being able to differentiate between good, credible sites and not. Just a really great, robust site that's got lots of really great resources for you to be able to use with your students to, again, just become smarter and know how to better protect yourself while online. So you've probably noticed just from this site that we didn't cover every single thing on this list. There's extra stuff in there for you. In fact, if you scroll down to the very bottom, you'll also find a security tips poster that includes some of these things that we talked about here today. And this is a little poster that I put together for you guys so that you'd be able to print it. It's an 11 by 17. And it talks a lot about what we talked about here in this session. So the two-step verification code, updating your browser, there's the HTTPS we just talked about. Feel free to print this. This is Creative Commons licensing available to you guys. So print away, share it with your teachers, have them put up these posters, making it easier for them to address and talk about these different things. It's also available here digitally, so feel free to share it out that way as well. All right, you guys, so that pretty much wraps up this session. I wanted to give you a little bit of everything. I'm going to pull this link back up to the screen here so that you can get that in case you jumped in a little bit later or you weren't able to grab that at the beginning. Remember, this is case sensitive, so make sure that you jot it down as you see it on the screen. All right, so I'm going to pause here for a little bit. See here if, let me check and see. All right, since we moved over from the Google page, I'm just going to jump into the old one in case there were any questions that were dropped in there, but it doesn't look like it, so I think we're good to go. If you do, however, have any questions and you want to shoot them my way, you've got my contact information by simply going to that site. That's going to take you to my email and my profile information online, so you can go ahead and connect with me there. But otherwise, thanks so much, everyone, for listening. Appreciate the patience with the technical issues we'd had on there, but hopefully you were able to still pick up some really great resources and tips for securing your information better. Thank you so much, and I will go ahead and close this out. The recording will be available to you after.